Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Three Good Guys podcast. We're going to hop into a good time today. This episode might be a little sporadic, and it might get a little deep. I don't know yet.
We're going to find out.
Yeah. Either way, let's hop into it. Start off with the intros. My name is Miles.
My name is Rodney.
My name is Leonard.
And you don't have nothing extra? I like it. No, that's better. That's best that way. I like that.
Stop right there.
That's good. No.
We
We chilling. We chilling. We got a lot of good things to get into this week. But the first thing we want to hear about is the presidential debate between former President Donald Trump and current President Joe Biden. How did y'all feel about that debate?
So as someone who watched the debate, I feel like Biden's done. And I do it like this. I say this to everybody. I say, if you had $1 million company, would you let Biden run it? And the answer is no. There's no way you would be like, yeah, he's the most qualified person to run my company.
No.
There's no way you would say that. And it's just like, shouldn't we have the most qualified person run the country? Right? And my biggest problem with what's going on is I feel like the Democrats have failed the people because I feel like they're, instead of running a quality candidate, they just said anything's better than Trump. So they're depending on people to like be either hate Trump or be afraid of Trump, one or the other, enough to vote for them. And I just feel like you failed the people. I feel like they failed the people.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I haven't really watched a ton of the debate. I watched a couple of snippets of it, and I was kind of embarrassed to even want to watch the full thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I agree. Like, I think the biggest thing is, I think the idea behind, I don't know, this could be a conspiracy or anything, but the idea behind keeping Biden in office is, I mean, he's super malleable. And then two, of course, you know, dude, I honestly think, I used to hear the jokes about, like, will he finish out his terms? I'm just like,
but now you really wonder.
Like, dude, like, will he? Because, like, the guy is, I seen a comparison video, too, of his first initial debate compared to this one.
To see that.
Just
is it
night and day, man. Like, completely night and day. It's not even the same person. So, yeah, it's tough.
It's pretty bad. Like, that one part where he started mumbling, then he stopped talking, and he just yelled, like, kill Medicare. Like, he was like, kill Medicare. And it didn't answer the question right at all, and I was just like, somebody. But then afterwards, the thing that got me is afterwards when they put out the whole, like, I might not walk as fast as I used to or be as strong as I used to be, but I know how to tell the truth. And it's like, okay, yeah, so I might have a little bit of dementia, but when I know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna be honest. When it's like
That's rough.
He's just not qualified at this point.
Yeah, so I was watching a few things, and they were saying what the Democratic Party might do, and some people were saying like, hey, Biden should step down. Should they run Kamala, who's the VP? Run her as a presidential candidate, or should they run like Gavin Newsom? How do y'all feel about substituting Biden for somebody else, and what do y'all think of those two?
I think that should be a real option, but I don't think it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. He just did a thing, I think like Wisconsin or something like that, like yesterday, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm running. I'm not stepping down." Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, he's doubling down.
Nah,
he's not going to do it. But they should have did. The Democratic Party should have came together before this and decided who they were going to run.
Exactly.
Because it ain't like they didn't know. It ain't like people wasn't having conversations with him and was like, buddy, you're getting a little, up there.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to say he has dementia. I'm not going to say that. He's just having
He's just clearly
moments.
old. He's clearly an old man.
Yeah,
clearly.
And it was funny that the back and forth they had about golf. I was like, why would you have a back and forth about golf?
No, hold on. This man who could barely walk talking about and y'all making me sound like a Trump fan. Because I'm not. But he talking about like he could beat Trump golfing. And I'm like, if I was a betting man, my money would be on Trump just because I feel like he won't fall before he gets the swing off. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Trump might be a terrible golfer. I don't know, but my money is on the guy who don't fall going up the stairs every time.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because one, why are our presidents debating about golf during a presidential debate?
It was terrible.
Like that's terrible on both ends.
It really puts things into perspective. Like you know when you're a kid and you watch your parents. I literally saw a little two girls were having like a little podcast. That's really funny. It was a little TikTok. They were talking about what are grown folks be talking
about.
Oh,
I saw that.
I
saw that.
They were like, I really want to know. They said stay out of grown folks' business, but I really want to know what's going on. I like to say, like, back when I used to first, look into politics, in high school and stuff, I was like, what's going on? What are they talking about? And now that you look at it, you're like, yeah, they're having conversations that I had when I was 15, like in a presidential debate.
And it's
just like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, this is childish.
I don't even remember what the question was. I don't even know how we got on to the topic of golfing. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, but I'll beat you. I have a 6 handicap or whatever he was saying. I was like, dude, you don't know. You don't even know your numbers right now. Like,
yeah, that was...
Stop.
And so that segment, it was bad for me on both ends. One, why are both of y'all going back and forth? Like, there's nothing good about the fact that y'all decided to go back and forth about golf. That's all bad. Secondly, it sucks that Trump had a point, though. His point was this: I'm physically and mentally capable. You're not. And then
that's bad, bro.
But the fact that Biden jumped into that feels like, okay, you're proving my point now. Because if you were really there, the way you should have been, that should never been a conversation that y'all get into.
Yeah.
So that was terrible for me. But I got at least one more thing. Let y'all got some other stuff. Mm-hmm. What do y'all think about the possibility of Michelle Obama running on the Democratic ticket?
I just feel like, honestly, the Democrats have already messed up. Mm-hmm. That would be great. It'll get a lot of support. It might be what they need, but why are you just now running somebody in July? Somebody new. Yeah. It's July.
It's a lot of ground to make up, and then that does show, it shows weakness, for sure. And then, too, have you seen the polls, as far as, I don't know, the Democratic candidate versus the Republican candidate, more so Trump or Biden, it's totally so much more skewed to the Republican side of the picture, on average, everywhere. Now, of course, depending on which media outlet you look at,
things be way different.
Mm-hmm. But now it's even more telling, and it's kind of crazy. So I don't really think that's gonna that won't do too much. Now, of course, if she had a full campaign, if she had then maybe she can definitely make moves there. But I don't know, that's a rough one. And I don't even know if that's something that she wants to do, honestly. I mean, everything that she said in the past points towards her not
even being interested. Yeah,
but
I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's something. So when I first heard that, it was like, hey, if she runs, she's the one that has the best chance against the Republican ticket. But I was like, everything I heard from her says she don't want nothing to do with her or her family being in that situation again. Mm-hmm. But how would y'all feel? Let's say she does run and she does win, and President Obama is like a ghost president. What do y'all think about that?
I don't know, because this is how I feel about politics. I got to see what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of people right now who are oh, if Michelle Obama run, I'm voting for her. And I'm like, okay, so what's she gonna do? More specifically, what's she gonna do for me? And can she actually get it done? Because, mind you, Biden had this whole thing talking about he gonna get rid of student loans, and let me tell you, I still owe student loans to this day. Which, hey, I'm just saying, if you're gonna run on getting rid of student loans, you need to get rid of student loans in your first term. Don't tell me how you're gonna do it in the next term. So, I don't know, the whole idea of her being president, and what is she talking about? What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do for me?
That's another thing. I think not nearly enough people are actually looking at, when these presidents run, what are they going to do for you as a person, for you individually. The president, their job, people in politics in general, their job is to serve you.
Yeah.
Every person that you vote in on the local level, the city, the state, national, whatever, their job is to serve you. If you're not voting in somebody that you see how they're going to benefit you personally, you need to pause and think about, okay, who am I voting for and why?
We said this before the show. One of my gripes with the Democratic Party, and I'm not a Republican, but as someone who used to identify as a Democrat, of course, I got a lot of gripes with the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And one of the problems I have with it is, they get my vote every year, but they don't earn it. For what are you getting my vote for? What am I getting back for it. And then now, as I'm getting older, I'm learning more about politics. I'm learning more about how the world works. So my eyes are getting opened up, and I'm like, yeah, so we just voted for you for nothing, then, basically. Like that's what it is. And I'll be clear. I don't really care who's president. Like I'm not some people are like afraid of Trump becoming president. I'm like, I did 4 years of Trump, and I made a lot of money that year. Those 4 years, like really, like that was like the start of my come up. And I did 4 years of Biden, and I did really good under Biden as well. So I'm not really afraid of who becomes president, but I'm also not just gonna be like bullied or punked into voting for one side or the other. And I really feel like the Democratic Party, they just try to like punk us into voting for them. Like, oh, if you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Yeah.
Or vote for Biden is a vote for democracy. Like if you don't, like democracy is at stake. And I'm like, democracy is not at stake. This whole idea of democracy at stake is false. What's that thing called? Agenda 25 or
Project 20?
No, Project 25. Sorry, Project 25. Like, it's not on the Republican ticket. It's not endorsed by Donald Trump. It's just some Republican people with their idea of what they want to do. And let me be honest with you, you should have an idea. That's a good thing. Now, do I agree with their ideas? No. But like people are like, oh, this is what the Republicans want to do. Okay, so what do the Democrats want to do? Why we don't know what Project 25 Democrat version is?
Ooh.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Well, it's just like, you're scared. They're going to repeal the FBI. I said, y'all couldn't get rid of my student loans. How you ever get rid of the FBI? FBI got guns.
You ain't getting rid of FBI. So about Project 25, admittedly, I haven't looked too much into it.
Yeah.
What I did see is like the big points that people are putting on social media, because of how wild these points are. I personally believe that Project 25 cannot be something that President Trump is actually looking to implement. Like you said, getting rid of the FBI. There's no way there's a president who's running and security of the country is one of the big things, and you're going to tell me they want to get rid of the FBI.
Let me tell you.
That makes me doubt everything else that's supposedly on Project 25.
This is what Project 25 is. It's made by some right-wing extremists, and then the left picks up and say, see, look what they're going to do if Trump becomes president, to scare you into voting for them. Like, I'm not going to be scared into voting for anybody. Don't tell me what the other side's going to do. Tell me what you're going to do. And I feel like all the Democrats are doing right now, well, at least all that's getting pushed out to the media, it's just showing you what will happen if you don't vote for me, instead of showing me what's going to happen if I do vote for you.
I feel like it's been that way for a while, though.
But for the people that are listening, look up Agenda 47, which is endorsed by the Republican candidate, and it will tell you what their actual plans are. Because Project 25 isn't their plans.
I'm going to have to take a look at Agenda 47.
I wouldn't go to it later. It's not that important right now.
I want to take a look at it, though.
But this is really my thing that I really want to talk about is I feel like this is why people don't vote. Because they don't see the benefit for them. And that's why I just need people to start showing the benefits.
Yeah. Do you think it's more of a thing to where people aren't? It's not the forefront. Like, there's not. So you got social media, you got media giving you all these big hot topic points, and not really the in the weeds, in depth type of breakdowns of like what it is that we're looking at from both parties or what have you. So a lot of people are very misinformed when it comes to the details. They're more so just informed based upon the headlines, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that is a problem, like countrywide. That's an American.
That's everything in America. Yeah.
It's always like the big flashy like light to distract you from like everything else that's going on around it. And so I think that's what gets people so unsure once they get old enough or gain enough wisdom to see like, oh wait, there's all these other things happening. Like, okay, who do I trust? How do I understand what's going on? And I think that's the big difficulty there. And so, I mean, I would just advise everybody to try to do your best researches. I look at, when it comes to politics, I look at both sides of the spectrum, like even online, different political commentators on both sides of the spectrum.
Gotcha.
So that I can get a better understanding and I can try whatever ideas that I think I have in my head around something. Like, I need somebody to try to break it down or even disprove it in some cases for me to actually understand or have a grounded, like, feeling about, okay, I think I like this. So yeah, that's really that's really helped me a lot. There's plenty of people out there to look at, but I mean, do your research on that when it comes to that. I think you should look at both sides of the spectrum as well. So you can get
I think America needs to do something as a whole. I don't know who has the who all has the voice to say something like this, but I think this needs to be said. We need all the celebrities who speak up on both sides of the spectrum to have a new voice that says this. We are not voting Republican because we're Republican. We're not voting Democrat because we're Democrat. We're going to look at the candidates that are available, and we are going to vote based on who we think can do a good job for us. No more telling your friend, no, you need to vote for the Democrat because this person can't win. Because the only reason that person can't win is because we won't vote for them.
They say if you don't vote Republican, Democrat, it's a wasted vote.
Yeah.
And I get the sentiment behind that, or I get the idea behind that. But at the same time, when is it going to change to where we're voting for the best fit candidate, period?
No, because the reason we're in this situation we're in now is because we've allowed it to go, you got to vote red or blue. There's no third party. And then now, look at the crap that they put out. We got Trump and we got Biden. And I don't want to vote for neither one of these guys.
No.
And I don't think we should. And what people don't understand is like the majority vote goes to who we vote for. So like if Texas, that's where we live, if we vote for someone who's not Trump or not Biden, the Texas electoral votes don't go to the Republican or the Democratic Party. It'll go to whoever else we're voting for.
Yeah, see, the Electoral College, and we might have to go into this on another day or something. I think it needs to be repealed.
That's a good idea.
Honestly, it makes it to where you live matters if your vote matters or not.
Yeah.
Because if you live in California, I don't care who you vote for. It's going to be a blue vote at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just doesn't matter. You got to live in a swing state for it to count. So I got to move to I think Arizona's like a swing state or something like that. You know, you got to move to a swing state for your vote to actually matter.
And it's crazy that we got to this point, even though I believe it was President George Washington who said that we should never end up with a two-party system.
Yeah, the two-party system's terrible.
Like this, it doesn't give us the proper options. The option should always be, this is who I think is best. Cast your vote for that person. I think we need to get back to that anyways, because that's the only thing that can really shake things up enough to where they'll consider making a change in the future. If we just go with as is, nothing's ever going to change.
What do you say to people that will have, because I hear this a lot, well, you need to get more involved on your local elections and local things because that's going to be the real change and effectiveness you can make in your own home. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that has somewhat of a good point there because, I mean, that's where you probably have your more options, things like that, and things that affect you initially. But yeah, what do y'all say to that?
No, I think they're 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
Your local elections have way more impact than your presidential election because, like I keep saying, the president is limited in power. We keep calling him the most powerful man on the planet, but he's really not. There's a lot he can't do.
The most powerful spokesman.
Yeah. That's why they make these promises and they get in and they be like, Congress won't let me. If you were really that powerful, Congress couldn't stop you. No, honestly, your local election has way more impact on your life than the presidential election. And like we were talking earlier about Roe versus Wade, and that just made it to where it went back to the states. Like your state has laws, and your state laws are going to affect you way more than federal.
So if you are pro deletion of a unborn child, or if you are against it, it don't matter who you vote for the presidency right now.
No, it doesn't.
It matters who you vote for in your state. That will determine how your state moves forward.
Yeah, I really want to clear that up because I know a lot of people who say like, Donald Trump got rid of abortion, like he made abortion illegal, and it's like, no, he didn't. He made it a state's option that the state gets to pick it. And one of the beautiful things about the United States is we have 50 different states, and California will always be a champion for abortion. So if you want an abortion, you get in a car, you drive to California, and you go have one. And it's like, well, it isn't always that easy. I get that. I understand that. But for some people, it is that easy, okay? I do think that, like, if it's a medical reason or something like that, they need to fix whatever they need to fix.
I think it's still if it's medical, it's not.
Yeah, but it's a lot of like red tape around it. I hear people say like I'm afraid to do it, blah blah blah. And I think if you're a doctor, you need to do what's right for the person. Right?
That's a fact.
You took that oath, so if it is a medical decision, you need to do that. But yeah, anyways, they didn't make it illegal. Like, but that's that scary stuff that they always try to do. They always try to say like it's scary. In case I wanted to bring this up too. Another thing I keep hearing is like, oh, women's rights is under attack. Like, if you don't vote blue, women's rights is under attack.
I hope we don't get canceled.
I hope I don't get canceled for this too. But I honestly feel like women's rights are under attack under blue way more than red, because blue is allowing men to wear dresses and take away all the rights from women. All of them. Like, they can come in, they can identify, and they can get anything that you had. They can take it right from you.
Yeah, that's
loaded.
That's wild.
That's true. And I think what people are missing, the funny thing is people are missing the point of, if you allow everything, like if you allow someone to just claim to be something, and then that's it, you have to accept that, then that retracts from the truth.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is you are an actual woman, you're born that way, and then now you have to contend with people possibly going to get canceled for this, but like who mentally have an issue, like they can't identify with who they actually
really are.
And so that's going to be, that's a problem. I think a lot of people will find that this system of what we call acceptance of everything is not going to bode well for you in the long run.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing is for sure. When you accept everything, now you have to accept everything. And that's a problem. Mm-hmm. There needs to be, and this isn't just one issue, this is just period. There needs to be a set of boundaries where we're not willing to go. Mm-hmm. And currently, I can't see where those boundaries are going to be, because everything that everybody wants is like, but it's okay that you want that. That's fine that you want that. And at some point we have to say, no, you can't have that. We're not going here, because with no boundaries, chaos will ensue.
And I think I'm a little more lenient than you, because I'm not even telling people that they can't. I'm just saying, don't tell me I have to believe that too. Mm-hmm. Like, you can identify as anything you want to identify as, but don't turn around and tell me that I have to say.
Yeah, but
this is what
that's exactly what I'm saying though.
Okay.
That's a boundary.
Okay, I got
You're saying that there's a boundary here. Do what you want to do. Don't tell me I have to do it now.
Yeah.
That's a boundary. But that boundary that you just mentioned isn't there right now.
Yeah. Because you guys remember Rachel Dolezal? The Caucasian lady who identified
as... she was black.
Okay.
The name didn't click.
So nobody agreed with her. Mm-hmm. When they found out, nobody agreed. Nobody was like, oh yeah, she is black or something like blah, blah, blah. Why not? Like, how come transracial isn't accepted?
And it's a lot easier to go from black to white than from
like,
man
if the
to
woman
woman.
felt she was black, she felt she was black. You know what I'm saying? But why? Because when you hear that, you're like, but she's not.
All she had to do was put on some makeup. Yeah. She decided to do her hair a little different to look more ethnic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was it.
But I mean, does that even go? Well, I mean, I don't want to get too far off of things, but like, does that put like our thought of being black in a monolithic standpoint then too as well? Because there's a lot of people that will say, oh, well, they act black, or they grew up in black era, so they're pretty much black.
I know what you mean.
And but they're not though.
They're not. So, but here's the thing though: if they say that they are, people would say, but you're not. It's okay if you grew up in the same place we grew up, and you act like us, you dress like us, you talk like us. That's your culture. That's cool. I tell people all the time, because I'm from Southern California, I'm part Hispanic, right? Because if you're from,
everybody there's,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everything is Spanish. The street names, the cities, the place you went to school, the food, all that stuff comes straight from Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? So I know I'm not, but like culturally, part of me is kind of Hispanic, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a little joke I said. That's fine until I tell somebody I'm Mexican. I'm from Mexico.
I get you.
I'm not Mexican. I'm not from Mexico. If I start saying that I'm wrong and I'm lying, even if I did grow up in a place where my friends had Spanish names, they were from Mexico, their parents were in Mexico last year, and this is their first, you know what I'm saying, first few months in the States, you feel me? Like, even if I grow up in a place where the architecture is Spanish, like everything about it is Spanish, that doesn't now make me from there.
That just comes back to like the erosion of the truth.
That's gonna get
Like the truth is just eroding, and it's just about what you feel. But the Bible warned us about that. You know, in the end times, they're called evil good and good evil, and that's literally what we see. Like, there's no more absolute truth anymore. They want to do away with absolute truth. Even what's that actor name? What's his name? The actor that doing all the math stuff now and stuff.
Oh, Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. So listen, man, I was watching Terrence Howard at first, and I was like, he definitely smarter than me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, until he said 1 × 1 = 2. I said, okay, now I'm done with this man. I'm done with this man. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson broke him down like a fraction, and then some other dude broke him down. You know, I don't know how I went on that tangent. But we got to get back to the truth.
There's no truth.
We got to get back to telling the truth.
Exactly.
And the truth matters. And here's the thing. It's like when you try to highlight the truth, people be like, well, why do you care? Because I care about the truth.
Exactly.
I care about the truth.
When nobody has no center, they can't operate.
Yeah.
And like when you're not centered in truth, I mean, you know, of course, Christ in this situation, obviously, if you're not centered in the truth of Christ, that's sturdy foundation. Where can you build from?
Yeah.
Then you're literally just getting swayed anywhere at a certain point, and that's what.
But I think that's the plan, though. To be honest with you, from some group of people somewhere, that is their plan. Take away truth so the people are swayed however we tell them to sway.
Exactly.
That is absolutely. And you mentioned the Bible talks about in the last days they'll call good evil and evil good. And one of the things that scripture mentions is that they'll say that it's bad to marry. For all of human history.
And forbid to eat meat. For my vegetarian friends out there.
I wasn't going to go there, bro.
I like that.
Now I got to deal with that. That's an insider. Anyways, I mean, that is a scripture, though. It is there. But anyways, for all of human history, something like marriage has been a key, foundational, good thing. Everywhere. It didn't matter if it was an affluent place, if it was a poor place, it didn't matter. Marriage is good. And now there's more and more talk of, why would I get married? Why should I get married?
Just a piece of paper. What's the benefits for me?
Yeah. Like, I don't think people understand that there is an immense power in having a spouse.
Yeah. It goes back to absolute truth and centering yourself in your beliefs. The thing is, people want to get like it's just like I was saying before. If they're swayed another way, they want to be I can get out of here. Like you know, like if it gets a little bit rough in the marriage, I got a free escape car. I'm not married. We don't owe anything to each other. We can just get out of it. And it just takes away responsibility and duty, because I believe that's one part of marriage that people forget about. Is like, even when I'm not having my best day with my wife, like, I still have a duty and a responsibility to her. Because I made a commitment to Christ that this is the person I'm going to take care of or I'm going to be concerned with. Yeah. And so if you pull that away, then it's just like, okay, well, we're done. Like, we don't need to do it.
And I love how you say you made a commitment to Christ. And that's why, like I saw Candace Owens saying, like, why would an atheist person want to get married? And I'd be like, yeah, like, why would you want to get married? Yeah. Because your commitments to that person, you already got that commitment. Like, marriage is when we take that to the next level. Now my commitment is to Christ. And now everything that I do, how I treat my wife, now it goes back to, is that Christ approved? Yeah. And that's a higher standard. That's even a higher standard than my wife can have for me. Christ's standard is higher. You know,
it's something I don't think people understand, that there are vows that are taken in marriage, and those vows are what allow society to go forward. Yeah. Like that, what y'all talking about, that duty are those vows. Where you say, it doesn't matter what's going on, I'm going to stay committed to you. I'm going to stay committed to the family. This is how a family can move forward no matter how Pops is feeling, because Pops took this decision that I'm gonna take care of you and I'm gonna take care of y'all no matter what. I'm gonna push you forward and I'm gonna push y'all forward no matter what. When that leaves, now you got people like, I mean, maybe I'm just not feeling it anymore and I just leave. And where does that leave the family?
True. And then, marriage is probably the greatest community you can make that bears the most good fruit. Like, in the future, like, you're building community with family. You're building futures. You're repopulating the earth. Like it bears good fruit if you stay committed. Now, of course, I would say some people nowadays, I think the roundabout way they get around people getting out of the idea of marriage is because, when the government gets involved, now it's this piece of paper, and now all the disadvantages are for men because if she leaves, she can take everything I have, or in some cases,
and they don't even be having nothing. They be broke. Talking about she can take everything.
Exactly. If I'm being realistic, some of the things that they're saying has some merit or point, right? But at the end, ultimately, if your commitment is to Christ first, then all those things don't matter that much.
Yeah, before I got in a relationship with my wife, like, it was key for me to say the next person I get a relationship with, they have to be accountable to Christ. Like, finding someone who's accountability to Christ, you'll always be okay in your relationship. I'm not saying everything's going to be perfect, but because their love for God, it's always going to make them, whenever they step out of line, they're always going to say, let me get back in line. They're never going to be like, oh, well, this is how I feel. I mean, they may have a day like that. Everybody got a day like that. But they're never going to be like, this is how I feel, so this is what it is. And so, like, that Christ accountability is the center of the marriage. And I think that's why divorce rates are so high. Because there's not Christ accountability anymore. Because, like, if I cheat on my wife, I would feel bad. I'd be like, oh, man, I cheated on my wife. But now we're talking about, if I cheat on my wife, that's adultery. Now I'm looking at God in hell. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother level right there, right? So, like, having Christ at the center of your marriage is what is needed in order for it to survive.
Yeah, I think ultimately we all need something bigger than us, greater than us, that we are accountable to.
Yeah.
Now, there is nothing greater than Christ to be accountable to, so that's amazing to be at the center. But even for people who don't know Christ, right? The culture has made it to where there's nothing greater than you. So if there's nothing greater than you, there is nothing to hold you down when you feel like, I'm tired of this. It's been 3 months. It's been hard. Yeah. I'm just getting out of here now.
Yeah, like, I saw one of them sisters, the one that just got divorced. I forget her name. And she was on TikTok talking about, I'm in my whole phase, happiness over everything. Because, she just got divorced. And I'm like, Stop it. Right? But that's when the whole thing is like, I want to be happy. And of course, I'm not in their marriage. I don't know everything about it. So, I'm on the outside looking in. But then when you saw the man talk about it, like, the only thing I've heard him say about it is like how he cried for a year and a half and how bad and desperately he wanted his family, together. And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds more like a divorce to me. Because that whole my happiness phase, I'm like, that's a marriage is a commitment, bro.
Yeah, that's another thing I think people realize. When you get married, it's not about you being happy no more.
It's not.
It's about you serving somebody else. That's you making a decision. I'm going to serve this person, period, forever.
That's the duty part.
Yeah.
Like, you can love your spouse, but, like, are you dutiful to them?
Yeah.
Like, meaning, I'm going to do this because this is how God described marriage and how it works in the Word is what I'm going to implement in our relationship. And so even if I don't love, like, there's people that I know that have been in arranged marriages who don't even know their husband and they're married to him. They don't even know him, but they learn to love because what the marriage hangs on is the duty part.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, that's what everything is. I'm just going to do the dutiful wife things. I'm going to take care of him. He's going to go out. He's going to work, whatever it may be. And then they find love later on. I have a coworker I worked with years ago who she was in an arranged marriage to her husband. They're of I believe Indian descent. And he ended up becoming a hotel owner, so he makes good money.
Worked out.
And she was like, "Yeah, the first 2 years, I didn't love him until after like 2 years of us being married." She was like, "I didn't, I appreciated him, and we were building a family together, but she learned that part. But they're best friends now because the first thing that they did was, okay, let's commit to this commitment, that we have." And we're going to work this thing.
Yeah.
And that was the first mentality that was had. Before anything about like, you're not making me happy right now. It's more so like, this is a thing, this is a goal that we're working towards.
Let's do the work.
Let's do the work to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally it.
I didn't know we were going to talk about marriage because I would have Googled some scriptures because I'm thinking in my head, I don't remember one marriage scripture that had the word happy in it. Like, and that's what people think about marriage. They think of happy all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I can't remember one scripture about happy.
Yeah, because like we view love as the infatuation stage of a relationship. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the part, like, people say when you get married, like, you marry that, essentially is what they're saying. Mm-hmm. That's not what makes a marriage work. Like you said, it's the duty. So we need to love the way Christ loved the church. That love doesn't matter if I know you or not. I'm doing this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The infatuation stage depends on me getting to know you, me starting to see things that I like about you. Oh, I'm enjoying this part, and so now I'm giving myself to you as long as you're giving me that dopamine hit. But that's not the love that we're supposed to have.
Yeah, I'm just piggybacking on what you said, not
mm-hmm.
saying that what I'm saying is different from what you said. We have this idea of love, but all the scripture, when it talks about love, it's talking about work. It's talking about duty. Mm-hmm. Like Christ loved the church. That's talking about a work and a commitment to perform for, to give to. So we have love. We need to use different words because like that feeling has nothing to do with scripture talking about marriage. Mm-hmm. All where you see love is talking about an action, a duty, a service to. That's where it's talking about love. It's just the type of commitment to this individual, But there is a scripture that tells you not to withhold yourself from your husband, though.
Come on now.
And that's some good word right there. Yeah, bless the
Lord. Doing some teaching that. In fact, now this is one thing I ain't gonna lie. I'm waiting to get married for this part because the word says that unless you two have agreed. So this not you by yourself.
Talk to the camera.
This not you by yourself.
Yeah.
It's not me by myself.
Yeah.
We gotta have a mutual
agreement.
We both
have to say,
okay, we gonna stop for X amount of time. Mm-hmm. Unless we do that, then our duty is to please each other. Yes. I'm just throwing it out there.
That works.
And not only should we be doing it, the Bible says do that unless you want the devil to come in between. Mm-hmm. And so unless you want Satan all up in your marriage. Mm-hmm. There's a bedroom in the back somewhere. You should probably visit it.
And Satan look good in a red dress.
Goodness gracious.
Look real good.
Goodness. Now, I didn't say that. That's the word said. Mm-hmm. It was there thousands of years before me.
Yeah.
But apparently, what's in the word works. Because I ain't never heard of a married couple saying that doing that ain't good for the relationship.
Come on now.
You're right.
Bless the Lord.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. I remember we went to Fellowship Church.
Yeah,
and Ed Young, Ed Young was teaching, and he said, "I got homework for all the married couples. When you come back, you need to have had sex 3 times." People was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah. Go be with your husband. Go be with your wife." And by the time next week comes back, you guys need to have made love to each other. You guys need to bring that piece of your relationship back. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a core thing. And from what... I ain't never been married. Okay, so I haven't experienced this. But from what I've heard from many of people who have been married, who are esteemed in different, educational realms, when things go bad, that's something that slips. Mm-hmm. Or when that slips, other things seem to go bad. And it's, from what I hear, it's kind of like a glue that can bring or tie things back together when they're falling apart.
I hear people say this, and I think it's a terrible thing, but I've heard people say, like, I had more sex before I got married.
Crazy.
I think that is a terrible thing. But one thing I do know about women is, like, if you're not servicing them, they don't want to have sex with you. So that's, it might be a reality check, buddy. What are you doing wrong? But on the other end, because I got a lot of agreement over there from the ladies. On the other end, you might need to take a Tylenol, get rid of your headache. Because we don't want to hear about that.
Come on now.
So it goes both ways. It goes both
he
ways.
and she, neither are supposed to deny the other.
Yeah.
But
God is good
all the time.
But this is the problem. And you kind of mentioned this when you're talking about, they said they had more sex before they got married. And people that have had that life now, not everybody. Some people get delivered and they move on from that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, that's what they rest everything in. Like, I gotta try it before I buy it because I can't be married to somebody. They hit all the other boxes, but if they don't hit this box the correct way,
listen,
I can't be with it. And that's crazy. That could be your foundational mentality. Now, of course, I'm not saying. I mean, it's kind of rough to get into, but
we grown, we married.
Yeah,
get into it. Yeah,
but
some of us.
But I think certain things can be developed upon. Certain things can, just like marriage takes work. That can be a part of your marriage that takes work to get there.
I fully believe, like, when it comes to sex, you should grow together.
Absolutely.
Like, you should be able to teach your partner, and it should be better down the road than it was from the jump.
If we're doing it the biblical way, this is your first interaction with it anyway.
It should be.
It should be.
Well, not in America.
Not yet. So you shouldn't know any other, and that's the whole point I'm getting at. It's just, well, how do you determine what's good? Well, I've tried so many things, so it's just like now.
Yeah,
you're gonna be
that person needs a
consistently,
detox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Consistently. Oh, now I'm underwhelmed and everything. And I'm just like, wow.
That's what, like, God knew what He was doing when He told us, to abstain from having sex, because He knew the effects it would have in your marriage. Because now every time you have sex, you're comparing her to Jasmine, Ashley, and Jessica.
Donna and Tia.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You comparing her to all these different women, and then it's like, and how is she supposed to compete with that? That's not who she is. Mm-hmm. She is her, and her uniqueness would have been beautiful to you had you not been diluted by all these other people.
Now, how do you feel about, and we'll say men and women, people having conversations about their experiences with married couples. Like, let's say if it's a girls' night, she's like, "Oh, my husband did this, and this, and that," and giving details. Like, how do you feel about that?
As long as she giving me my props.
Listen, listen.
Tell your story.
Do you think that's a healthy thing to do, or do you think it's unhealthy?
I don't know, but I think it's a woman thing, because dudes don't sit around talking about that.
Nah.
I've never.
As far as we'll go, I mean, of course, in our prime days of not being, right, it's saying like, "Oh, I did this person." Or, look at her.
It's your highlight reel.
Yeah. But we're not talking about in detail, what was happening.
Actually
happened. I don't know how healthy or unhealthy that is. I'm not qualified to speak on that. I'm going to let somebody else speak on that.
Yeah, I don't know how healthy it is or not, but I do know one thing. I would be heated. If I found out my lady was out there talking negatively about me.
I know.
But now here's the thing, though. It don't really matter what it's about.
True.
It don't matter what it's about. But that's one thing that it could be about. And if you're doing that, I think that's real messed up.
Oh yeah, that's unhealthy too.
That's a fact.
Sure. I tell my wife all the time, like, when I'm she'll sometimes ask me, like, what do you be saying about me? I'm like, I always talk big about you to everybody.
What else you gonna say?
I mean, genuinely, because she is amazing, but at the same time, like, I'm not trying to, like, even if I'm having an issue, or we're having an issue, like, I can't bring other people into that. Now, sometimes what I might do, and I'll be honest, like, I'll give somebody, like, a coworker a scenario, like, okay, do you think, like, but I'm trying to get genuine feedback on my part, like, was I wrong for this?
Yeah,
and you probably were.
Yeah, probably was. Probably was. So I think that could be all help. And of course, I know the people I can present that to. Like, I'm not texting an ex-girlfriend. Like, should I have done this wrong? No, but like you know who the people that you can introduce that information to. People who actually have your best interests at heart. first and foremost, because not everybody does. Not even all your coworkers do. You know, you think
That's
they
a
may
fact.
be cool, but they might be trying to see where they slipping
And
up.
never to a girl.
Oh yeah, no. I mean,
Unless it's your granny.
Unless it's just your granny, your sister, your mama, something.
it depends on the subject matter. Because I will ask a woman's advice when it comes to like, things that y'all like.
Oh, a woman's perspective is that's different than bringing your problems.
But never like not issues or stuff like that.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to say this. Just thought about it when y'all talking about people like I gotta try it before I buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta test drive it. Y'all know how ridiculous that is. Like on a most practical level, you're talking about marrying somebody. Unless they are physically incapable, that means you and them should be willing to find out how to serve the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they are physically incapable, you guys are gonna learn how to please each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that even something you're thinking about? There's a million other things in a relationship you got to be worried about. Not the thing that, as long as you're actually committed to that person, is going to get figured out.
Because the problem is you try it and you find out you like it, and now there's 1,000 other things we were supposed to discuss and figure out before we got married to see if this marriage is going to have some,
And now we're focused on.
And now we're focused on sex, and we missed it.
Mm-hmm.
We missed it.
Like, yeah, it's just so that conversation was brought up to me recently, and I was like, yeah, that's just not a smart thing to base a relationship on.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to say that again though, because that really makes people need to understand that part. Is once you get infatuated or you're in it, sexual tensions, all that kind of stuff, your mind
is gone.
It's gone.
Listen, wait. This is something.
Yeah.
This is something that I have in a presentation to high school seniors who are going out into the world now. Granted, by the time high school come around, some kids had already dibbled and dabbled.
Mm-hmm.
But
not me. That's right. I made it all the way through high school, boys.
Congratulations, sir. Anyways,
Good on you.
so I may need to present this to a slightly younger group of kids, but like y'all was saying, sex clouds the mind. And what people don't understand, so when I bring up sex, it's actually in a financial presentation that I have, because a lot of kids don't realize you want to move out your parents' house so you can have more freedom, so you can have the girl over whenever you want. What you don't understand is that freedom that you want is really just so you can have sex. And that sex that you had is probably about to have you financially constrained for the next 18 years.
Listen, we're not going to say any names.
No names.
But you and I know somebody
Go ahead.
who left the nest early, so to speak, so they can play the field as much as they want to.
And the field was played.
We see the financial struggle.
It's a strain.
As a result of that. Yeah, sex will mess your money up quick.
Sex is something that is... I know what media presents is just a fun thing. You try it and you just see it. It's not something to be played with. And it is way too serious to play around.
Let's just be honest about sex. Like, when you're having it, it's fantastic.
Of course.
But afterwards, like, when that clarity sets in, you really need to be like, you know what, like, probably didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we could just live our life in that clarity right there, man, we could really...
That's the most clearest thing you gonna get.
Yeah,
it's like right after.
It's right after. You be like,
literally seconds after.
Like, I would have been alright.
Yeah. We probably didn't have to do that. But.
Yeah, it's wild. So, just people out there in TV land, you watching this, don't let sex be a thing that you run to, because it will cloud your mind and keep you from seeing everything else that you need to see. Mm-hmm. And that right there, like you said, it's fun in the moment.
Easier said than done, but that goes back to having Christ at the center.
Absolutely.
That's what it really goes back to. So I would just say for anybody that wants to get married or is dating or anything like that, like, you have to really focus on having Christ at the center and building your relationship with God with your partner. Like when me and Gina were dating, like, we watched a lot of sermons together, or we read books together, or we read the Bible together, so that we were both growing in Christ together, though. Mm-hmm. Because, they can say they're growing in Christ on their own, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I need to see eyes on it. I need to see, and I need to hear back from you. I need to hear what revelation are you getting from this word as well? So yeah, if you're dating somebody, definitely it's crucial that you and that person get in the word together, and also it carries over into your marriage. So
Right.
Yeah. You know, dang, I had a thought.
and
I had a
figured it
thought.
out.
And it's
Yeah.
I got you though.
Yeah, go for it.
We'll go
Thanks.
here. We'll go here. So we were talking a little bit about, of course we went a little bit over, but so with marriage, comes children, and with that's a huge responsibility.
My boy's doing 2 weeks.
So
Congratulations.
congratulations
Yeah,
for that.
and I got my thought back, but go ahead.
Yeah. So when it comes to children and when it comes to kind of tying in abortion, how do you feel in regards to it being the woman's choice?
Oh,
there
my
we
go.
goodness.
I'm waiting for this.
Yeah, so
I'm waiting for this moment.
Let's talk about.
All right.
say he
And,
waited for
and
this
ladies, please feel free to tell me I'm wrong,
Yeah.
because I have a very male idea.
Yeah, because you're
Here.
a man, your brain doesn't work, and you can't
I
understand.
have a very male idea. All right, here it is. 2 people. They have sex. The girl ends up pregnant. The man's excited. He's ready to be a father. The girl says, "I don't want this financial responsibility." She aborts the baby. Is she a deadbeat? Or is she just exercising women's right?
I would think to a sane person or a normal person that would be considered a deadbeat, but because deadbeat is in the confines of like, are you with the child if it's here?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, well, I mean, you didn't even give it that opportunity.
So she's not a deadbeat. She's just exercising her. She's exercising her rights, right?
Yep.
So
y'all
the
pray for me.
man,
I'm
the
gonna say
man
something.
wanted the child.
Mm-hmm.
The woman said from the jump, "I don't want this child." She exercises her rights and aborts the child, and she is not a bad woman for it at all, right? The man wanted the responsibility. The woman did not want the responsibility at all. She exercised her right. I feel that men need a right as well. I feel we need what I like to call a financial abortion, where from the jump the man can say, "I'm glad you're pregnant. That's awesome for you. I don't want this responsibility," and he pays whatever the fee is to financially abort the child, where he will give up all his rights to the child for life. You cannot have visitation. It ain't your child. You financially aborted the child. And I think a financial abortion is better than an actual abortion.
Absolutely.
So that's where I stand. I think it'll be a wonderful thing. What do y'all think?
I
And
mean,
they could already do that though. If they sign away their rights, they can get rid of the financial burden.
No, well, maybe in California. You came to Texas?
I don't know about maybe in different states.
Yeah, it might be a state thingy. Because here, yeah, you out of luck.
You could,
Yep.
I mean, because I know someone right now in it's like a with child support case,
Mm-hmm.
and she said that as long as he does not sign away his rights, he still has to pay, but he don't want to sign away his rights because he don't even think the baby is his.
Well, if it ain't mine, I'm
Ooh.
signing the rights away.
Okay.
Shoot, I don't want to do that.
that's a whole nother situation.
Yeah.
You're talking about paternity, like
Yeah, I think every man has the right to know for a fact that is
I
his
agree
child
with that 100%.
before he has to do anything. And that don't even mean that he don't trust the other person, but as a man, there literally does not exist a way for you to be sure.
Did you know there are states where once your name goes on the birth certificate, even if you have the test afterwards, you're financially responsible for that child?
That's crazy.
Yes.
Even if you have the test, you can take the test up there and you say, this baby ain't mine. If your name is on that birth certificate,
That baby's yours.
that baby's yours financially. You see what I'm saying?
You know why?
That's crazy.
Because in those states, they believe that the duty is more than everything. That duty
Yeah.
is there, period. No matter how you feel, no matter what you like, or
the
nothing.
duty to collect that money that
Yeah.
the government, that the state's gonna get. That's
Because
what
the
they're-
state wants its
because
money.
the state wants his money.
100%.
Gotta
And
have it.
so, yeah, of course. Wow, of course they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
one
makes
thing about that topic of,
Oh, wait, before you do that.
Go ahead.
And I think the fee should be equal to the fee of an abortion.
I agree.
Yeah. So whatever abortion costs, I don't know how much they cost.
but I mean, if that's the case,
and a state pays for it, can the state pay that fee for the father as well?
No. The man got to pay out of pocket.
Oh, like government, like funded abortions and stuff like that.
Because I mean, like, if the government's making it to where the woman doesn't have any responsibility,
oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
does the government do the same?
They go get free abortion.
Yeah, does the government do the same thing for the man and say, no, you don't have to have this responsibility?
I mean, shoot, it would work. I don't know, because honestly, I couldn't imagine me being in that situation. But I'm just saying, I just want equality across the board.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I think it's weird to be like, you say you want equality, and then you say things like, a man shouldn't have a say in this. That is bananas to me. You can't want men to step up as men and tell men at the same time,
some people
you don't have a say in whether or not your child lives.
Equality when it benefits them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why, or I'll tell you how I know. Because if they started drafting young men for the Army, there would be an uproar if they started drafting young ladies for the Army too. And I know.
Because they gotta populate.
Because they gotta populate
Yes.
the world.
Women have
Oh, she's giving her excuse why she can't be.
See what I'm saying? Come on.
She's like, no, we need to populate. Okay?
I mean,
well, that's our duty.
I mean, that's cool, but don't you need someone to help the woman populate? That's my duty. Okay, you gotta have the baby. I gotta give you the
do
baby.
your thing before you get deployed.
You gotta
So that's what you do.
So what if she doesn't get pregnant before I get deployed? Do I get to come back?
I don't know.
I don't have to leave until she's.
They may let you visit for like a couple days.
They'll be fine. They'll come back from war. They can have babies. Okay? And whoever doesn't come back,
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's wild.
we feel bad for them.
I just think that we I think the country as a whole is starting to forget how important the family is.
Yeah.
And everything hinges on the family. Like, one thing we know for sure, when a family is broken, that's where our degenerates come from.
Wasn't it Black Lives Matter who said that they wanted to get rid of the standard family core? Was it Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, that was. I don't know if it's there anymore, but after, because Black Lives Matter blew up.
Yeah.
Right. But after some people started doing some digging into what they said they believe, at one point that was one of their foundational things. I remember I might have it on my phone somewhere. I took a screenshot of it because it was on their website.
Yeah, it was on their website.
That they wanted to get rid of the nuclear family. That was the term.
That's wild.
They wanted to do away with the nuclear family, meaning
and the whole
man,
time,
woman, children. That's not the family that they want.
and we was screaming Black Lives Matter on everything, right? And the whole time Black Lives Matter was like, yeah, we trying to get rid of that. We want to get rid of that.
That's bananas to me. Like, another thing I think is crazy. I hope I don't get canceled for this. I think it's crazy when people decide that they're going to have children, but they're not going to have the mother or the father around. Like, to decide, I want to have children, but one of these parents isn't going to be here. That's bananas to me.
People with having kids get on my nerves. Bro, you know what Facebook posts I see like every 6 months? Be careful who you have kids with. No, duh.
Yeah.
You don't think the person you have kids with is an important decision?
Yeah.
There should be we need to start having
That's
That has
the
to be
most
said.
important decision that you might make in your
We need to
life.
start having a test. Like, you need to qualify to have children.
This should be something that's understood. Like, when you leave high school, that should be a part of all your exit exams. Is understood. Do you know what it means to have a child?
Yeah.
Can you it has to be written too. And if you don't pass that written portion of the exam, you don't get your diploma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with it. Cause
But common sense isn't taught in school. Like, it really
my
isn't.
mama said common sense ain't common to everybody, and I believe that.
That's a fact. Boy, these fireworks are going
I don't know if y'all
crazy
hear
out
that, but
there
them
right now.
fireworks are going crazy right now. They going, shoot.
You would think it's the 4th of
Oh,
July.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Six, man. They just
Goodness
said, no,
gracious,
it's the
people.
weekend. Let's go.
How much time we got?
I have no idea.
We got an hour?
Oh yeah, we got some time.
Okay.
So yeah, I just think it's crazy to decide, like, who was it? Somebody in WNBA just decided that they're gonna have kids, but it's her and her wife. It's like, where's the pops? You can't tell me that you're deciding to have a child and you're deciding that child's going to grow up without their biological father. That's a decision that you made. ahead of time. That's crazy to me.
You know, or the people who are like, I'm rich and lonely, I want to have a child now.
Yeah.
Like people who are like having babies, and they're like, oh, I just want something to love me. It's like
just choosing to be a single parent. Yeah,
that's incredibly irresponsible.
Is there a fireworks show going on right now?
They might be shooting outside. We don't know.
No, it's fireworks.
I know it's fireworks.
I know, man.
It's literally.
Hold on, y'all keep it
crazy.
going.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting
Oh,
this.
they get lit.
2 days after,
I mean,
we might as well go take a look and see.
Wow.
We can put a little break.
You know, we're gonna take an intermission right now to look at the fireworks, guys.
all right. I know we coming to a close here, but I did want to leave the floor open for any questions, comments, concerns, or topics that you guys wanted to bring up.
It can be anything too.
You know, especially because our whole audience is women today, so that we need to hear a woman's perspective on something.
Actual.
Well, y'all didn't really expand too much on the abortion part, like y'all said.
Well, that
You
was-
said your part.
that was my- yeah.
From them.
Oh, okay. In regards to
Your
abortion.
viewpoint.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Are you even for it in the first place? And if you are, is it terms to it? Like, okay, if it's this situation, I probably have more leniency.
Oh, I didn't get into that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can get into
Or
that.
if it's-
Yeah, so for me, I think it's pretty simple. We know for a fact that by the time you can have one, that there's a baby in there. There's a living being in there. It's not questioned. It's not debatable. Everybody knows it. I think that to get rid of a person in the earliest stages is not the best thing to do. I just don't think it is. You said why?
Yeah.
Why do I think it's not the best thing to kill a baby?
Well, yeah, that's your reason. I'm just asking. Because
Because it's killing a baby.
Okay, because they say it's a fetus. It's not a baby.
I understand that, but that's just a person in their earliest stages of life. It's literally the same person that grows up to run for president one day. It's the same person.
Mm-hmm.
They're just younger. And when they're younger, they start off in the mother's belly. Actually, before that, they start off with their pops. All right? So that's all it is.
As someone who's having a child right now, and like this is my first time going through the whole process, you can't tell me that that's not a real person in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first time I saw the ultrasound, I was like, it changed my whole thinking on it. I was like, no, that's a person. You know, they tell you that's a fetus. That's not a fetus. That's a person.
It's
a
a
fetus
person.
is a baby person.
Yeah.
Like that's
But seriously, like, I don't even like the fact that they use that term as if it's something different. It's a fetus. It's an infant. It's an adolescent. It's an adult.
Yeah.
It's
You know
we
what I'm
have
saying?
all these are just stages of our life, but we're all still the same person. We
Yeah.
never stop being a person once we're here.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think it's really hard to say there's a reason outside of life or death that someone should say no to having this child. Now, I am much more for you have the child and you give the child up.
Mm-hmm.
I am a much bigger proponent of this child has a rough upbringing, but they have a chance of living the life of their dreams, rather than forget whatever opportunities they might have. We're just going to cut their life short.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Now, I think a lot of people have this mentality, or I guess scientific breakdown of like when the baby is conscious, right? So
Mhm.
they say it's at like, I forget the time frame. I want to say like 6 weeks. I don't know. It's some certain time frame, or 24 weeks. I don't know what they say it is. I don't know. But anyway, somewhere around there, the baby is conscious, and that's when you're not supposed to kill it. Like, that's what they're saying, right? Or that's what I've heard a lot in a lot of like Democratic, left-leaning people's conversations or podcasts or things of that nature. And so they say, okay, yeah, abortion is good up until this point, and then it's not good anymore. And my thing is, just as you mentioned, there's stages. So as soon as something happens to where there is a child being formed, like then that's the point in time where abortion is bad. Period. So now, of course, I overheard the ladies talking about how, in circumstances of a woman being taken advantage of, or a woman's health being super detrimental to having a child, like even in early stages, like they already know, like, oh no, if she tries to carry this baby full term, she's gonna die for sure. In those situations, I feel like, I I feel like abortion may be something that has to be an option on a case of like, well, we're not here to like I'm gonna have this baby and die, or I'm gonna possibly not have this baby at all because the baby's not gonna be able to make it, and I'm not gonna be able to make it. So I think there's validity in that. Now, I think I think abortion as a decision to make, if that wasn't an option, I believe women would be way more purposeful in choosing.
They would be.
They would be way more. They would be way
it's
more.
It's a birth control now.
Less promiscuous in a lot of ways because they understand now. I can't, Let
me touch on that real quick because I keep hearing people say they're forcing us to have these babies. Ain't nobody forcing you to have a baby.
You forced me to have a baby.
No, nobody's forcing you to have a baby. You made a decision to do.
And that baby
and this is the crazy thing. Babies only come one way. Okay?
Well, unless you're Jesus.
There's an exception to every rule. Okay? So there's no need to point out the one exception to the rule. All right?
I just like to do that sometimes. Okay.
Anyways, babies only come one way, and no one forces you to proceed down that path. If someone forces you to do that, you can take legal action for them forcing you to do that. And in that situation, most people don't even feel the same way about the situation as a whole because you were forced into something that you're not supposed to be forced into. But other than that one situation, you were not forced into it. This was not accidental. This was a decision that you made. And when you do this, there is something that's supposed to happen afterwards. A baby is supposed to come from this. You did the thing that is the only way to create a baby. You literally went through the process of creating this thing, and then you're saying, I don't know if I want to have it. You went through it's like baking an entire cake and being like, I don't know if I want a cake.
It was not this lit on the 4th of July, y'all. I promise you, it wasn't. It wasn't. We had fireworks, but it was nothing like. Because you know what happened? The fireworks went on sale.
Oh, that's right.
That's what happened. Everybody went and bought
somebody over here probably.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody over here probably owns like a fireworks shop, and they just like, look, he's
about
to expire in 2 days, so we about to let.
I'm sorry, y'all. This fireworks going crazy.
I
want to talk about my abortion ideas though.
Go ahead.
So this is the Three Good Guys podcast where we look at life from a Christian perspective, right? So everything I'm about to say is from a Christian perspective. Now, I grew up in California, so I was heavily indoctrinated with Democrat ideals. And then at 17, I moved to Texas where I began to get indoctrinated with Republican ideas. So I get to see it from both ends of the spectrum. And then you combine Christianity in there and you try to figure out how to navigate life. So, how do I feel about abortion? I feel that abortion is wrong. I also feel that it happens because sometimes we do wrong things. And that's how I honestly feel about abortion. I'm like, can we just call it wrong? Even if we make it legal, can we call it wrong still?
Yeah.
And that's my issue with it. It's like we don't even want to call it wrong. We do wrong things all the time.
All the time.
Like, my wife got 2 Snickers in there, and I've been thinking about eating that Snickers all day today.
You're not wrong for thinking about that.
Yeah, but if I act on it, I'm wrong. And I've been very tempted, but to get back on it. So I honestly feel like abortion is wrong. And then people always be like, oh, well, what about, when a woman is taken advantage of? And I looked up the statistics, it's less than 1%.
No, that's not what happened.
That's not why people are getting abortions. More than 90% of abortions are at-will abortions. It means they weren't taken advantage of. The woman isn't in any health situation. The baby isn't in any health situation. It's simply, I don't want the child.
It's just not a good time.
So now the question is, now that we've established that it's wrong, now is it legal or illegal? Honestly, that's not up to me. I don't think so. I can vote on it, but all I can do is cast a vote. That is a law of the land. And whatever the law of the land is, that's what we're going to rock with. And that's why I love the idea that it's down to the states. Now, people in that state can decide whether it's legal or illegal. And I love the fact that we live in America where we know always and forever California is always going to be legal. So if you really wanted an abortion, and like I said, 90% of abortions are just at will. You can, and it may be an inconvenience, get in a car, get on a Greyhound, get on an airplane, and go to California and get the operation. No one said that abortion had to be convenient. No one said that. Like, it doesn't have to be convenient for you. But if you want it, go get it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And I also think that, so like, there are things that we shouldn't do, but there's times where it's okay to do. Like the Bible says you shouldn't kill. But there are times where folks are ordered to kill. Right? So I don't know why it is so hard for a lot of people to say, generally speaking, I stand against this thing. But there may be a time or two where I would let it go and I won't think twice about it. I don't know why that's so difficult for people.
Yeah.
And I also don't know why it's so difficult for people to accept that there are people on the other side of the spectrum. Like me and one of my friends, we are on completely different sides of this. And we've had conversations, and I honestly feel like one conversation is more thought out and the other one is based on the feelings of the people at Max. But that doesn't change the fact that we know that we're on different sides of the aisle on this, but we're still cool with each other. Like, what part of freedom of speech and hearing other ideas and knowing that people are different and accepting differences, why does all that go out the window as soon as someone says, I think people should live? Like, that don't make sense. And one more thing, because I just came to me. I cannot stand when people say, oh, you want these kids to live, now you need to take care of them. Those two things do not go together. Just because I don't want you to die does not mean that I want to take on all your bills and responsibilities. I think that people should be more intentional about what they're doing. They should understand that when you do this, and you bring it together and you mix it up, the outcome is a baby.
But what does that say about us as a society where we're like, oh, well, we're not going to be financially responsible for them? Kill them.
Yeah.
Like, that's the solution.
That's
kill
crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, no, you're not going to take care of them? Well, let them kill the baby.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Because Leonard mentioned, like, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to come from a Christian perspective. But don't you think that's one of the reasons why God even implemented being married before even having sex? Because,
100%.
You know, because if we was more Christ-centered and Christ-based and waiting till marriage, you're not going to be put in this, well, hopefully you wouldn't be put in a situation where I'm not ready for this. Because majority of the time people get abortions is because, like, they're in college still, they don't have their money together, they don't have a family, the person that they probably don't even know, like, and they just slip up. But if it was really Christ-centered, or we did what Scripture said and wait till marriage to have sex, and you do it that way, abortion wouldn't even be a thing. You know, it's coming from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
Like, that's why God even structured it.
I'll say this. Go ahead. My bad.
Thank you. 99% of the social problems we have is because we're doing it outside of God's will.
Right.
That is all the social. You just look at any social problem that we have here in America, and it is a result of living life outside of God's will. And then now we're trying to navigate a way to make everybody happy in it. But like you said, if people waited until they were married first, and if they were getting married according to God's standards, and then getting married, the abortion rate would drop. So tremendous. Because when my wife told me she was pregnant, it wasn't no like, oh dang, can we afford it? Like, it was like, oh shoot, I'm about to be a pops. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was a whole different experience.
Yeah. So it, like you said, doing things according to God's will would change a lot of things. For example, a lot of the social issues that we have come from fathers not being proper fathers.
Absolutely.
Like, a ton of them. If men would step up and be the men that we're supposed to be, a ton of social issues would literally disappear.
I'm going to just give an example.
Right.
Like OnlyFans will go bankrupt overnight if we
Yeah.
have real fathers.
Facts.
For real.
Facts.
On both sides of the
On both
spectrum.
sides,
On both
yeah,
sides.
both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. The people who paying and the people who are putting out the product.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would disappear. And so I believe that you are correct. Like we should do things, of course, according to scripture. But with people, a lot of people, they don't like the idea of things being religious. And I understand that. Like I'm not here to force my religion on anybody. But there's one thing I know. People don't have a problem with Christian doctrine. Christian doctrine works. We know this as fact. Not like, oh, maybe that could be good. No, we know this as fact. Christian doctrine works. So I think the bigger thing would be for Christian people to be more consistent with what we say we believe, and for those who have a voice or who want a voice to speak up and use our voice to make sure we are properly stating what we say we believe, what we say or how we think things should go, and how we lead. That way, at least we can be an example of how things could or should go.
and that's how it should be. People should see the Christian family and be like,
That's what I want.
I want to be like that. And like, what is about y'all that's making y'all so special, so unique? And then we'll say, well, let me introduce you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You know,
Exactly.
I agree with that 100%, but I will add this too as well. And it kind of goes on what you said, because Christian principle works no matter what. What you notice is, like the principle of seed time and harvest, or sowing seed, or even, giving in order to be, or giving God what's due to his, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't remember what popular, money mogul or whatever, but he had mentioned that once he started to give to charity more, like his businesses started going crazy, right? And this is a guy who is not professed follower of Christ or anything like that. So God's principles work no matter
who you are.
if you're connected with him or not. So it's in the same. So I can look at someone's marriage who is maybe not Christian, like the example I gave before in regards to the arranged marriage. I don't believe that they're Christian at all. But I can look at their marriage and see a successful marriage and see the principles in which they work, and that lines up with what God says in his word.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, we don't have to get all the way into this, but morality comes from God anyway.
100%.
So everybody who has a moral compass or understands the basic right from wrongs, that comes from something. That comes from an absolute truth. So if you say you're an atheist and you believe, anyway, we want to go into
Yeah.
but that's exactly what it is. Like you cannot, you can't get away from the principles of God not working, whether you're in Christ or not in Christ. It's gonna work. That's how it works. When he says, I made a seed time and harvest on the land, like that's what it is.
Gonna work.
Whatever you sow, you're gonna reap. Whether you're a Christian, whether you know him or you don't. So
Can I ask, why do you guys think that it's like they focus more so on is abortion right or wrong, and they want to fight abortion instead of preventing it even happening? They're not talking about abstinence.
Right.
They're not talking about
I can-
that.
I can-
They're not talking about mental health. They're not talking
Yeah,
about
I
anything.
can-
They're just on, oh.
I can tell you that right there because they don't want to get rid of the problem.
Sure don't.
See, the problem in a lot of cases is what drives business,
Right.
to be honest with you.
Money.
The problem is not having sex in the proper confines. That's not what they want to. They want sex outside the proper confines so they can do all the other stuff that they're doing, so that they can continue to give you penicillin for whatever diseases you get, so they can continue to have jails filled up with degenerates who aren't acting right because they don't have fathers around. So they can. There's a lot that comes from sex not being in its proper confines, and they're profiting on all that comes from that. The mental health. They want to profit on people not being in the proper mental states. So we cannot go and fix the problem. What we will do is worry about, okay, what are the symptoms of it, and how can we curb the
sell
symptoms?
you a solution to the symptoms.
Yeah.
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 It's the same thing people talk about the medicine. They're like, we want to give you medicine that fix all the symptoms, but we don't want to go and fix what's actually wrong with you, because then you stop coming back to us.
Right.
it's just like if your baby's crying for food, you give him a pacifier. and stop crying.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a pacifier.
Still hungry, Dad.
Like, we haven't fixed the issue.
Right.
The issue is that he's hungry.
Yeah.
He needs to eat food.
Yeah. And
So,
not only. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. But that's the real issue. Now, of course, people get wrapped up in finding a ton of band-aids instead of like healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think healing comes from God.
I was about to say,
I mean, it we're beating a dead horse, but it's definitely not dead because God's not dead.
Yeah.
He's surely alive. But anyway, that's exactly what it is.
That's true.
Yeah.
If we really were going to get to fixing the problems, we would have to get back to implementing God.
Christ.
Yes.
And people don't want to do that, so they want to keep the problems around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really comes from choosing to not go to the one thing that always works, because there's a lot that comes up. As soon as you say that Christ is not only King, but Christ is Lord, He's head, now you are choosing to align all of your life with what He says.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want restriction. We don't want boundaries. So we can't
Or
do that.
accountability.
Or we
We don't want
to
accountability.
know it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big problem with people.
Yeah.
Like, we want to know all the answers. I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm never gonna know all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, I'm not okay with that. I want to know more. And I'm just like, there's certain things that I'm okay. That God, that's on you. You
Yeah.
got it.
Absolutely.
That's beyond my understanding.
Right.
It is.
I don't have to know the answer. I just
Yeah.
need to know who gives it.
That's it.
Come on now.
Where the organ at?
Nah,
Oh man, y'all are funny.
Now, I wanted to ask you guys this. I don't know, well, towards the end, but so I've heard a scenario in regards to going a little bit back into abortion. So somebody gave me, or I was listening to a podcast. Somebody gave a scenario of if you have somebody who is, who's considered brain dead, but there's a possibility. You know, there's a lot of people that have been in comas or something like that for ages, and there's a possibility they can come to and have all their agency and everything back. But at this point in time, they're completely, pretty much a vegetable. They're basically only living through the machines that are hooked up to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so your choice, like, do you allow them the opportunity to live, like, again, basically because you know this person had lived before or prior?
Before I answer this,
Yeah, go ahead.
from my lovely family, if I'm ever in this situation, y'all keep me plugged up and y'all keep on praying. All right, but anyway,
Absolutely.
You heard what he said.
Absolutely.
okay, my God can do some things.
Yes.
No, but I don't see nothing wrong with pulling the plug. If that was what the question was,
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it because that's not killing a person. That's just not aiding
Yeah.
in their.
in their recovery.
But people would say there's people who recovered from this because they were plugged into this thing.
Yeah.
And they end up having a full recovery.
Yeah.
They live the rest of their life
So,
and everything.
There's a
So
difference.
you're cutting off the possibility that they could. They could
There's a
fully
difference between like, oh, this person passed out. Let me give them CPR and help them out,
recover.
and the doctor's telling you, hey, this person's been in a coma for 3 months. They're brain dead at this point. Stranger things have happened, but according to the science, we don't see
we don't see it happen.
a future for them. And at this point, they have no function on their own going. We're practically doing it all for them with a machine. And like I said, if I'm ever in that situation,
Let the
you keep
machine
me plugged
work.
up and you start praying. But if you feel like, okay, according to the science, this is the situation that they're in, then, and you feel like you're pulling the plug, I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Because you're not the reason they're not living.
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened to them, that's the reason. If they don't live after that plug is pulled, that's the reason they're not living.
Yeah.
It's not because you decided to cut their life short. And so I can't be mad at that. Now, if you were
I don't
the
know if I
reason,
presented their argument completely accurate to how they presented, but it's somewhere along the lines of that. But of course, I still disagree with it. It's not the same comparison of a child who's never gotten a chance to have agency to even exist for anybody to love and care for them. Whether it's somebody who I've already loved and cared for before, who's had a life, and then there's a potential for them to live again. That's really basic. That's really it's based upon what their wishes would be.
I think it's two totally different things because on one hand, you lived your life and something that's not supposed to happen, man-made, we created it, we jerry-rigged something to help you go forward. That's one thing. The other thing is, this is what's supposed to happen.
You're living just fine, and we're gonna come in
and stop you. We're gonna cut it short. Even though you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to continue. I can map out the growth stages that you should hit. Like, we know exactly how this should go, but we're gonna decide not to let it go.
And let me correct myself by saying I believe that conversation was more of a which term is abortion considered correct, right or wrong. So I think that's more so what the argument's going on alongside. But even to say, they were still making comparisons between somebody who
still a terrible comparison
in that situation and then compared to
I see the comparison, but yeah, definitely. Because, like, for an aborted baby, okay, look, that aborted baby is not dependent on a machine to survive, right? It's in the mother's womb, so let's just leave it alone. So if I just leave the person in the hospital alone, I leave the baby alone.
What happens?
What happens? What naturally happens? So,
yeah, that's how I see it.
This was a good conversation. It definitely didn't go exactly where we thought it was going to go, but
at all.
Yeah, had some nice firework back.
Definitely have fireworks
all over it. But I had a great time though.
Yeah, it was
and I appreciate you guys. I love when you guys say stuff.
Yeah. It was fun. So before we get out of here, of course, as always, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and find a person on the street and bring out their cell phone. Tell them follow Three Good Guys Podcast. Okay, do that.
Can we get our TikTok followers up this week?
TikTok followers.
Like, what are we sitting at? How many TikTok followers we got? Not enough. We need to get that number up.
TikTok about to be aborted anyway, so
that's hilarious.
I honestly, I like YouTube better. Like for us, should I say?
Oh, yeah.
Like our numbers are pretty good on YouTube. So, man, y'all slow.
I know.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I picked it.
No, sorry, 174.
174.
I was higher than I thought it was.
So yeah, I went to TikTok and it was a Kendrick Lamar TikTok that was playing, and I kind of looked at it for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
Yeah, it said that Drake can't recover from a certain scene in the last video.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I know we're not going to say Drake gonna be just fine. This is not the first battle Drake lost.
Oh yeah,
no.
So he's gonna be just fine.
He just can't say nothing else about Kendrick
Drake
Lamar.
loses battles and he continues to be a star, and that's just who he is. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Drake could be fine. He'll be more dope.
All right, go ahead and give us the closing.
Anyways, that's what we were saying. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, share. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube Podcasts. Y'all, be sure to follow, like, put the notification bells, all that stuff on. Comment. We are more than welcome to receive your comments. We know some people are not going to agree with some of the things we said,
and that's okay because listen. We are three good guys coming from a biblical perspective. And if you don't like the biblical perspective,
you're not going to agree.
That's your prerogative.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
We still love you.
And we still love you with the love.
You
and
can
that's
still subscribe.
That's the beauty of
You can still subscribe.
You can look at our videos every day and disagree with everything we're saying.
Everything.
You can have a great time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you can comment how you disagree under every single video.
One guy who commented and he was like, wait till they find out who is like based in the church or something. Yeah, remember that guy?
Oh, yeah. That's junk.
Yeah, he was. I had to read him his rights. But anyways, so feel free to
feel free to disagree. You know what beautiful thing about scripture is? Jesus said if they disagree, that's cool, keep it pushing. That's a Christian thing to do, all right? Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep it pushing if you disagree. We love you anyways. That's what we're going to do. But with that being said, this is the Three Good Guys Podcast, and we out of here.
All right.